a bad week for Xavi. But what's interesting, Alex, is that we thought, right, out the Champions League, Real Madrid are champions now, that's it. He'll walk out the door at the end of the season, as he promised, of course, after that Villarreal defeat. However, reports are suggesting that on Wednesday he's meeting with Laporta, and Laporta's trying to persuade him to stay. How much is this a financial decision, or how much is this a footballing decision?
Yeah, we have been saying, haven't we, let's see how it goes between now and the end of the season. Well, like you say, now we know they're not going to win La Liga, 11 points behind Madrid. They're out of the Champions League. Yes, they have improved since Xavi announced that he was going, but the end result is that. I think a lot of it comes down to finances. A lot of it comes down to looking around and saying, well, what are the options? What are the alternatives? What can we do here? Can we bring in a coach who's better than Xavi and is going to transform the team? There's lots of talk about Rafa Marquez, the former Barcelona player, the B team coach, is taking over as Xavi. Is that really an improvement? I don't know. You know, he might well be a very good coach in the future. Right now, it doesn't feel like a step up. Otherwise, there've been talk about names like Hansi Flick, the German. But again, Barca are so limited financially, and also people know, coaches know, prospective coaches know coming into Barca that there are limitations there in terms of squad building, in terms of what they can do in the transfer market, in terms of the club's financial situation. We know how tight it was last summer and the summer before that. We expect more of that this summer as well. Everyone knows that. Coaches know that. That is not necessarily an attractive situation to come into. Lots of other things about being Barcelona coach, of course, are incredibly attractive. It's still Barca. But that isn't necessarily how much of a stamp can you put on the team if you're limited in the transfer market. So all of that plays a part, I think. And right now, we don't know if, A, how much of an effort Laporta and the club are going to make to convince Xavi to stay, and B, how receptive Xavi is going to be to that. But certainly what we've seen and heard from Xavi over the last few weeks, he's been reluctant to talk about this, constant questions. There were questions in the press conference last night after the game as well about his future. He hasn't wanted to talk about it. He's kept saying nothing has changed, nothing has changed, nothing has changed. Well, that will be tested. That will be tested now. And let's see. And it might be that for, like I say, lack of alternatives, finances, and Xavi, you know, although, of course, he made the decision to say he was stepping down, there was always that feeling that really, you know, he wants to be Barcelona manager. That's what he's always wanted. That's all he really wants. But it was just a lot of things he wasn't happy about, the support or lack of support from the club, rumours about replacing him. And of course, he wasn't happy with the form of the team and the way the team were playing. But fundamentally, this is a guy who wants to manage Barcelona if all the circumstances are right. So can these two parties come together and decide, no, yeah, we're going to change plans. I'm going to stay. Let's go again next year. Let's see if we can get right what went wrong this season and overhaul Real Madrid. So, of course, let's not forget, you know, just a year ago, they won the league. And this year, they're not that far off. The 11-point gap seems huge. Well, it's just those two Clasico wins. If Barca had won those two Clásicos and they were the better team in the first Clásico and they led in this second Clásico, then all of this will be turned on its head. Let's not forget that.
Alex, what's interesting is that he was such a broken man when he made that announcement. He just looked miserable, depressed. He said, you know, my life is a misery for me and my family. And then, obviously, everybody kind of took their foot off the gas when it came to the criticism around him because they knew he was going to leave at the end of the season. So why even bother having to go at his tactics or his substitutions or how he approaches games because we know he's leaving? Surely, if he decides to stay, everything is ramped back up to full volume once again. And if he hated it the first time, why on earth would he tolerate it the second time?
Yeah, and then he announces that he's going again, and we go round and round and round in circles for another season. Yeah, I know. Look, the pressure, of course, the pressure at any top flight, at any big club is intense. At Barcelona, even more so. And he was really unhappy and especially deeply hurt, I think, by a lot of the criticism from people that he thought would be on his side. You know, he thought a lot of the sort of the media environment around Barcelona would be with him because of who he is, because of his history. That hasn't always been the case. He also thought, I think, he'd have more support from the club, given who he is, given the player that he was, and given what he did last season. That wasn't the case either. You had this briefing from within the club against him. So I think he was deeply, profoundly hurt by all of that and made this decision, maybe a little bit of an emotional decision in the heat of the moment. And since then, has maybe been mulling it over and thinking, well, was that the right call? And thinking about sort of what life after this job that he'd been waiting for, looks like, and if that's something that he wants to kind of move into. So, yeah, it's true. You'd think it wouldn't take much to be back where they were, and would instantly the pressure be back on, and all of that speculation, all of that pressure, and like I say, a bit of a vicious circle. But I guess, you know, in this situation, people like Xavi, fundamentally, they are optimists. They believe in their ability, and he would sort of back himself, I guess, to get back to where they were, like I say, last season when they were the best team in Spain.